guys, it's Katie from String Expert. Today I want to talk to you about learning double stops to play a fiddle song. A double stop is when you play two notes on different strings at the same time. And when we play it for fiddle music, we want to give it this like country swing sound that is unique to fiddle music. This is often used for an introduction to a fiddle piece to sort of get people excited and ready to hear the song. So let me play for you an advanced double stop introduction to a piece so you can kind of hear what it sounds like, and then we'll get started learning parts of it. So that would be a good introduction to a fiddle song. Now, we're not going to learn all of those double stops today because there's hundreds and hundreds of different ones, and then we put them together in different patterns to make our introductions for our fiddle pieces. So today we're just going to learn the basics, and maybe next week we'll learn some different ones. Okay, so to get started learning, what you want to do is go to my website, stringexpert.com, and I have a PDF of the double stop exercise that we're working on today for you to play along with me. This will be really helpful because it allows you to see the notes and allows you to see the fingerings, and it's a good way to practice reading your notes while learning to play double stops. So when we play double stops, what we're doing is we're trying to take our violin bow and put it on two strings and play those two strings at the exact same time. This is really fun, and it's also good because what we're doing is we're breaking every single rule that we ever learned about playing the violin. So it's kind of cool. Okay, so when we play the violin normally, we want to be very careful to only hit one string. When we do a double stop, we want to do the exact opposite. We want to be careful to hit both strings at the same time consistently. What happens with a lot of beginners is they sort of hit both strings and then they bounce up and bounce down. So be very careful not to do that. So let's get started. We're going to play open A and open E as a simple beginner double stop. So you're going to hold your bow like you normally would, and we're going to have a nice straight arm like we always had before. Put our violin up underneath our chin. Of course, we always have our straight wrist. And instead of being careful to balance our bow on one string, we're going to try and set it on both strings. Now, we want to carefully pull the bow and hit both strings at the same time, making an even sound. Be very careful when you do this exercise to make sure that your arm stays nice and straight, because that's where all your leverage and all of your tone sound comes from. A lot of times beginners get so excited about playing the two strings that their elbow does this. This is really bad. It makes you look like an amateur beginner player. It does absolutely nothing for your sound, and yeah. Anyway, okay, so make sure you have a nice straight wrist. Make sure your elbow is at a nice horizontal line. I think that's the right way. And let's gently pull the string. Now let's try it on the D and the G string. And let's try the D and the G string. Now, the first exercise on the page is going through slowly, and what we're trying to work on is being consistent with our sound and being careful when we switch strings to have a good quality sound with our double stops. So let's go ahead and try that. It starts off with 3 notes on the A and the E string, then it has 3 notes on the D and the G string, 3 notes on the A and the D string, and then 3 notes on the D and the G string. Let's try it. is we want to learn to play double stops using a rhythm, because boring solid notes just isn't very fun. So we're going to work on the rhythm long, short, short, long, short, short. So our first note is going to be long, and we're going to use the whole bow. We're going to start down here at the frog, and we're going to go all the way to the point. And then we're going to play two short, short notes. So they're going to be short, short in the upper half of the bow. And then the next note we're going to do a long bow, and we're going to go all the way down to the frog again. Be very careful when you play this to make sure that your bow always stays consistently in the right spot at the right time. So make sure that when you're doing your long bow, you go all the way to the point. Don't stop in the middle here or you run out of bow for your next bow. And then the same thing with your short bows. Make sure you execute them so you get right to the point or right to the frog of the bow to make sure that you have enough bow then for your next long note. Alright, so let's look at our exercise. And it says here we're going to start on the D string. Start on the G and the D string, then we're going to go to the D and the A, then we're going to go to the A and the E. So let's try it. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, now the next thing that we want to learn is how to use our fingers as we're playing double stops, because this is really important too. So what we're going to do is when we put our fingers down, we should already be doing this in our everyday playing, but sometimes we forget. We really want to make sure that we are not touching the string next to us when we put our fingers down. So for example, if I put my second finger down on A, I want to make sure that my fingers are nice and round and I'm not touching the E string here. Otherwise we sound like a squeaky cat and it's not a good situation. So let's go ahead and try that. We're going to put our two fingers down and we're going to make sort of a tunnel. I mean, I can literally see through the tunnel in my hand and see the scroll. And you should be able to do this too. So make sure that they're nice and round, and then be careful to make sure that you're not hitting the other string. You'll know if you're hitting the other string because it sounds horrible, so be very careful. Okay, so we're going to try second finger on the E string and open E for C sharp and E. Alright, let's try it again. And I went in and threw in the long, short, short, long rhythm because, I don't know, I thought it would be fun. Okay, now you have that down, you have your fingers in the right spot. Now the last thing that we need to do is we need to make this sound like a country double stop. It's really important. Okay, so a lot of times when we play fiddle music, country music, anything in that style, we're going to do a slide with our note. So what happens is we're going to go and put our finger a half step lower than what we're aiming for, and then we slide our finger into the right spot. So we have our first finger here, we have C natural, which is our second finger right next to our first finger, and then we're aiming to get to C sharp right up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our second finger, we're going to slide up onto that C sharp. So we're just sliding up, and we want it to sound like a slide. This is really important because that sliding sound is really important to get that like country sound that we want. Okay, so let's try it just slowly with quarter notes. No rhythm yet. Let's try it again. One more time. Do we go any faster? Now, if we're going to do a fiddle piece, it's going to have some rhythm. So let's try that same long, short, short, long, short, short with the slide. So it's going to be... faster. Now, let's learn an introduction. This is a good introduction to a lot of different fiddle pieces. I hear this a lot, I see this in music a lot, and it's just a good basic one to learn. So we're going to start with open A, and then we're going to add the C. So it's going to be. So let's try a little bit faster. So we're doing open A for the first long, short, short. Then we're doing a slide C for the second long, short, short. All right, so practice your double stops. And if you have any questions or concerns, just let me know. I'm happy to help.